This is Christine Marr at the Atlanta History Center in Atlanta, Georgia on September 10th, 2003, performing a Veterans History Project interview. Sir, could you kindly introduce yourself, your birthday, and where you were born?
My name is Loy Joseph Marshall. I was born December the 20th, 1921 in Monroe County, Forsyth, Georgia.
I would also like to include in this interview the wife of Mr. Marshall. Could you kindly introduce yourself, please?
I'm Maggie Marshall, and I'm Loy's wife.
Also, the daughter of Mr. Marshall will be included in this interview.
My name is Patricia Marshall Bridges.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Marshall, could you please tell me how you came to be a part of the 83rd Chemical Battalion?
Well, I joined the Army September the 12th, wasn't it? 1942. After being examined and all at Fort McPherson, I was shipped to Camp Gordon, Georgia, in Augusta. There, I became a member of the 83rd Chemical Mortar Battalion.
Could you tell me what it was like when you arrived at Camp Gordon? What do you recall?
When I arrived, we all were lined up, and we were asked to fall in by alphabetical number. And there seemed to be one guy that didn't understand what they was talking about, you know. So they finally got this guy lined up between myself and Meade. His name was Edgar McDaniel. And he let us all know, he said that he didn't know nothing about alphabetical order. He says, I know to get between Marshall and Meade. He said, that's where I belong. And we began training.
Were you nervous? Were you uncomfortable?
Were
you excited?
We were all sort of nervous and homesick. And we were thinking different things. But we knew that we had a job to do, and we began training, and our orders, the orders that we were given, we tried to obey to the best of our ability. And during this training season, training period, we become to know each other real good. And each one of us had a special buddy. And I don't know, you just fall in love or something with a special person. And you depend on one another. And you get close to them, and they mean a lot to you. And I guess that's one thing that got most of us through the whole thing, was by doing the best we could and having somebody that we knew would give their life for you, and you would give your life for them.
Could you tell me what a training day was like? What sort of training you did?
The first thing we did was some marching. Um, uh, we all had to do the right, left, forward march, right, left, about face, and we had to learn all of these things. And they began to come to us natural because we had good teachers. Our sergeants and corporals were some of the best. And we just obeyed their orders the best we could. And I guess you might say we were in training to do a job, and we all tried to do the best we could.
What was your job? What was the job that you were assigned to do?
Well, the first job that I was assigned to was communications. I had to learn how to lay a telephone line, learn how to connect a telephone to this line, and operate this telephone when a fire mission come down. We were taught to give commands after they were given to us to the gun positions.
And is this...
And we were required to learn a little Morse code, because we had to use that once in a while. And so later on, we got the radio. We called ourselves radio operators. The radio wouldn't go too far. The voice wasn't too far, but it was just a battery radio that we operated.
So if you were using Morse code, were you conveying top secret assignments?
No,
Confidential
we had to learn what the dots and dashes meant,
Okay.
so that we would know what kind of message we were receiving when we operated this machine.
And I understand you went to North Africa. Could you tell me a little bit about your trip to North Africa?
Oh, the trip? Oh, we left Camp Shanks sometime in May, wasn't it?
May of which year?
Ma'am?
May of which year?
43.
Okay. You left Fort Gordon in May of 43?
For North Africa.
Okay.
During this trip to North Africa, a lot of us got sick because we was on a big troop carrier. It was formerly a luxury liner.
Do you remember the name of that carrier?
The name of the carrier was the USS Monticello. After about 2 or 3 days out, we began to get sick, and I was sick the whole 11 days. It took us 11 days to cross to get there. I was one of the ones that was seasick all the way, and there were several of us that was sick all the way. And sometimes we I began to wonder if we was sick and going to die, or so sick we wasn't going to die.
So it took 11 days to
Yes,
get
ma'am.
all the way across to North Africa.
Yeah.
Where did you land in North Africa?
Oran.
And why did you go to Oran?
What?
Why did you land specifically in Oran?
More training.
For more training, we had to learn how to make a landing with barges and LCIs and such as that.
What is an LCI?
Landing craft infantry.
And how did you do that?
Well, we were put aboard this small ship, and the whole company, LCI would only hold a company. It was about 130 men, I reckon, or something like that. And we would had our equipment, guns and ammunition and everything on that. Had our mortars and ammunition and everything. And we would go inland, and they would let the ramps down, and we would depart, come off of the ramp, and go out on the beach and scatter.
Were there people fighting with you, or were you organized in mounting the beach? Was it a training exercise, or was it combat?
It was training.
Okay.
We used the same training in combat too. And
And how did you carry the equipment you brought aboard?
well, we had carts. There's two-wheel carts with a little body on it. Our 4.2 mortar was on one cart, and our ammunition was carried on the other cart. Maybe about 30 ammunitions per cart, and we had to carry them by. They had handles on them, a rod and a handle on them, and we got these handles and we pulled that cart behind us and set them up at a gun position.
Okay.
And then we would run our communication lines, and they would establish an OP, observation post, and somewhere within a mile of the gun position, because our guns would only carry 1 mile. And they'd go to looking for the enemy from mountaintops or ditches or whatever. And we would have a telephone, and we would call back for a fire mission. The fire mission first would be a white phosphorus shell. It would hit and make a big smoke and fire. And from that position, we could look on the map and tell how far that shell was hitting from the enemy. And we would adjust the guns up and down and from side to side to move that shell to where it would hit direct on the enemy. and by moving it 2 or 3 degrees to the right, 2 or 3 degrees to the left, elevation high, 2 or 3 degrees higher or lower, it would depend how far that shell would go and where it would land. And another thing, while we had powder rings that we would put on the end of the shell before we put it down in, before we dropped it in the mortar, and that would tell how far out it would go. The more powder rings we put on it, the further it would go.
And how long did you stay in Oran?
Well, until, well, we moved around some there, but most of the time we were spent there. But we stayed in North Africa until we invaded Sicily.
And did you go to Sicily at that time?
Yes, I went to Sicily.
Could you tell me about how you transited to Sicily?
Well,
And
we
when-
were on our way to Sicily for the invasion.
Do you remember
And-
the month and the year that you went to Sicily for the invasion?
I really don't remember how.
That's okay.
But anyway, the day before we made the landing at Gala, Sicily, the water was rough, it was storming, and our ships were bobbling around on this water. We all got seasick, and the ships would be up high on a wave, and we could see other ships all around, and then this wave would go down and we would see water on each side of us. It was just a big wave. But before the landing, the sea began to get calm. It got pretty calm, but it wasn't. It was still a rough landing. But we all got seasick, but you could tell by the compartments. Everybody was throwing up, and water was coming over too. It was sloshing in when them waves had come. It was about knee deep in each in each compartment. It was a mess, but we made it. We stood it.
Can you tell me what you remember when you landed in Sicily? What was going on?
Well, when we landed, some of the LCIs made it in real close. Now mine, the LCI was on, it got pretty close. We could get off and get to the beach. But when I got in the water, the water was still wavy. And I was what was that? Bazooka. I was bazooka assistant. And so the bazooka assistant, he went ashore ahead of me. But he was struggling in the water because it was rough and all. But when I got in the water, there was a wave come along, and it got almost over my head. But I had this ammunition on my back, this bazooka ammunition in my pack. And that wave, I guess I might have drowned it, but the wave began to push, and I was just tiptoeing along. And I got where when the wave broke, I was in water about knee deep, and we got ashore, and we were about halfway across the beach, I imagine, when there was a lieutenant. I don't remember his name. He shot off a flare, and it scared the living daylights out of us. We just knew we was under a heavy attack. But we started to run, and there was a building up there, and we run to that building. We were trying to get it under some cover, and when we run up to the side of that building, there was a slit trench there that the Italians had built to use, you know, and some of us stepped in it. It wasn't too deep. It was about a little over knee deep. All we got messed up was our shoes. And we didn't know it till we got out and we smelled just ourselves, you know. And Lord mercy, we went back to the beach, went back to the water, and washed, and we'd scrub our feet in the sand. But we made it. We got ourselves clean.
Can you
And
tell me, you mentioned that you were a bazooka assistant. Can you tell me what a bazooka is and what your job entailed?
well, it's an anti-tank gun,
Okay.
and you fired it from your shoulder. It was it was a tube about this big around and about this long. And the bazooka man, he would have it on his shoulder. Well, it shot a shell about this long, and I would put it in the back of the bazooka. It was fed from the back. I'd push it up in there, and when he aimed, he would pull the trigger, and it was operated by battery. It was a battery operated, and it would set the fire off. It would cause a bazooka a shell to come out. It would set the powder off in it. And it would come out, and it wouldn't go but about 40 or 50 feet.
So you carried all that ammunition on your back, is that
Yeah.
correct?
It was, as well as I can remember, the bazooka man, he had the bazooka, and he carried, I believe it was 8 rounds. Well, I had my rifle, and I carried 4 rounds. That made us have 12 rounds of ammunition that we could use. And so after it come daylight, we had our mortars in position, and after it come daylight, the Germans made a counterattack, and they were coming into Gala. Me and this bazooka man, we went forward through some buildings, between buildings, and the Germans there were 4 tanks coming. There was a area around maybe an acre or more in the road come around. It was just and they were coming this around. Well, we got up there. My bazooka man, uh, he got off one round, but you had to hit them tanks with that bazooka where the bogey wheels were, the tracks, somewhere around the tracks to stop them. If you hit the turret, it just exploded, you know, but it would mess up the gears and track combination. And as we were getting ready to fire again, the tank, somebody got this tank, some infantrymen got the tank, the third tank. Well, the one had already got by us, the Rangers got it. And so the one that we missed, another bazooka team hit it. And Germans, they started coming out of the tanks after they stopped. And the first one came out, he had his rifle with him. And we hollered for him to drop his rifle, drop his weapon. Well, he didn't. He just kept on coming out. Well, somebody shot him. And when he fell back in the tank, the others come out with a white flag.
Was that your first time
That-
seeing the Germans?
That was first time in combat in seeing the Germans.
How did that feel to you?
It, you just feel like it was part of your job that you had to do these things.
And how old were you at this time?
About 21, about 21.
And after Sicily, where did you go after Sicily?
After what?
After Sicily, after the invasion of Sicily, where did you go next?
Our next, well, in Sicily there, we made two invasions.
Ah,
One further up on the left, on the west coast, I'd say. And it was up close to Messina. And the Germans knew we were coming, and we run into very little resistance up there. And they were trying to cross the Straits of Messina to get into Italy. They're all leaving. They knew we had them pretty well whipped there in Sicily. And so everything ceased there in Sicily for a while. We had a little we were the first, some of the first troops that got into Messina, and we were given a place to occupy. Well, we were occupation troops, and they'd give us little 2 or 3 towns to occupy, you know, make sure everything was all right. And then we took more training, and then it was the invasion of Sicily. Italy was our next stop in Italy. And
Salerno.
Mayari, wasn't it? Mayari. We landed Mayari. Salerno was just a little to the right of us, and the British troops, they come in down below on the real southern end of Italy. But after we landed at Mayari, there was a mountain that we went over. We didn't meet much resistance, just a little once in a while, but there was a mountain up there. They called it Chunzi Pass, and we made it up to there with the Rangers, 1st, 3rd, and 4th Rangers. And we were there with them. We were supposed to hold that place at all costs because it was we cut off the German supply lines. We controlled the road without mortifying where they had supply lines running. And some of us, we had 2 or 3 casualties up there, but there were no deaths. And we captured several prisoners that got a little too far over the hill, and they were attacking us. We captured some of them, and we got to questioning some of them. They would tell us some things, and some things they wouldn't tell us. We knew this when they was lying or whatever. But I don't remember how long we were up there, but we were up there a pretty good while. Me and Meade, we were in a foxhole together out on the edge of the mountain.
Was Meade your buddy from the very beginning that you looked out for, that you had bonded with?
Was he your buddy? Was
Meade?
Meade your buddy?
Yeah, he was his buddy. We were out there, and one of us would go get our rations, C rations or K rations or whatever.
What is a C ration and what is a K ration?
It was just some cheese and eggs, canned cheese and eggs, crackers, and a little coffee in there to make some coffee. It was a pretty good little meal. And C rations were about the same, only they were canned beef and soups and such as that. And crackers, hardtack we call them.
And then, did you stay in Italy at that point, or did you move northwards from there?
Well, we made our move to
Ardennes?
when we made our move off that round, we made our move to Naples, and we were with the Ranger battalions, Darby's Rangers, and everybody went in with the Rangers. We captured Naples.
And what was your duty at this point when you went to Naples? What were your daily responsibilities?
I was still in communications.
Okay. And what sort of
I was put back in communication.
Okay, so you were no longer doing the bazooka assistance.
Yeah.
position.
See,
Okay.
whatever you was had experience in, if they needed somebody, that's where you was put. if they needed a rifleman, a communication man, a bazooka man, a BAR man, a BAR assistant, if you had some kind of training in that category, you was elected.
So you were doing communications again. What were you communicating? What sort of communications did you do?
Well, it was telephone operating and lineman.
And could you describe what a normal day might have been like? Did you wake up early?
Yeah, we was always on duty, but we had sleeping time too. If you wasn't on guard, you had guard duty. You could sleep all night, but if you was on guard duty, it was on 2 and off 4. But, it was with the infantry and the Rangers and things, they would always go before us. But if they would get stalled, bogged down in the battle, then we would one of our officers would go with them, and we would run a line from an observation post back to the gun position. And we'd go to calling back. We could see the Germans moving around out there, whatever. We knew where they was at. We'd call back firing missions, and we'd go to firing on them. And we kept them pretty well on the move until they decided they'd just dig in and stay a while. And then that was a pretty rough time, because they would lob shells in on you and kill some of your men, some of your buddies. But when we decided we would push off, then it would be enough to make it through and break up the Jerry line.
Did you ever have, when you were in Sicily or in Naples, any sort of recreational opportunities?
Oh, recreational. Oh yeah,
What?
we had some time off, so we'd get relieved for a few days at a time. Have time off. We could go into town, and have a wine or two. But I remember when we first landed, Iran, we were carried to a place that was called Goat Hill. And it was rough and rocky. And the first morning, what woke me up there on that old rocky hill was some Frenchmen or Arabs or something, saying, "Figs, good to eat. Figs, good to eat." Well, we wanted to see what it was like. They had some fig bars about 5 inches long and about 3 inches wide and about 1 inch thick. We knew big bars here in the United States was good. Well, we bought some of them, and word come down too late for us not to eat them. And so the next day, you couldn't find a place at your latrine. Yeah, I think just about everybody got something big. And so we had talking about the recreation, while we was there at Gold Hill, we let us go downtown, and they warned us about the wine, to drink it, but not too much. Well, the wine was good. I liked the red wine. Everybody else did too, I think. Yeah. So we got to drinking. We drank pretty heavy. But the next morning, there's another time you couldn't find a place to the latrine, and we were throwing up too. And the whole area had purple spots on it. Well,
And
we were a sick bunch of people, I'm telling you.
but you had some fun too.
Man,
But you had some fun too.
oh yeah, we
Now, after Naples, I understand you were a part of the Uncio landing.
yeah,
Could you tell me a little bit about that? Was it January 1944?
yeah. Company A and B had made the initial landing with Darby's, Colonel Darby's Rangers. Everybody knows that outfit. And because it was one of the fightingest outfits in the whole operation of the European operation. And we, Company C and D, went up on a LCI, no, LST, a few days later, and it was January the 26th, 1943. And we had anchored out in the harbor waiting for room to land, de-embark. So we knew we was going to be out there about all night, because it said it would take that long. And along about a little after midnight, so they say it was a water mine had been anchored out there in the harbor that had broke loose from the anchor. But another story was that the Germans came over and were dropping some floating bombs. And but anyway, there was one floated into the side of our LST.
What is an LST, please?
Ma'am,
What is an LST?
landing ship troops, or landing ships tanks. And it'll after 12 o'clock, I reckon. There was an explosion, and that thing had hit our ship, and it went off. And that explosion was so heavy that we were in our bunks. The bunks were on the side of the wall on chains, and there were about 3 or 4 high around on each side of the wall. And I imagine there was 25 men probably in that one compartment. I think the whole platoon was in there. The platoon was about 25 men or more. And we were up kind of close to the bow of the boat. But we had been up on deck the day before, walking around. We're right at the end of our compartment, was a 50 caliber machine gun, and right below it, we knew that we were right next to it was a magazine of ammunition, and it was full of 50 caliber ammunition. I don't know how much was in there, but it was there was a lot of it, because they could get it out of that magazine and get it to the gun right quick. And so when that mine went off, it shook that ship so hard, and so it was just like that. And we were in our bunks. It broke those chains on them bunks, and down in the middle of the floor we went, piling on top of one another. And there's hauling, "Get off of me, get off of me, get off of me."
Did you get
Well,
hurt?
we were doing all we could. I think I was in the second or third bunk, and I would die pile on top of us. But there were no, there were some of them bruised and bummed up a little bit, but with nobody hurt too bad, no broken arms, legs, or nothing. And so after a few minutes there's two guys went up the stairwell.
Do you remember their names?
No, I don't remember. But anyway, they went up on deck and up those stairs. Well, we had that canvas that when you'd go up about 3 steps, there was curtains, canvas curtains. You would pull it this way, and when you got around it, you would pull it back, and you'd go to the other side, and you would pull the curtain, and go up about 3 or 4 steps at a time until you got up on deck. That was to keep light from shining. You know, airplanes flying over and lights are shining down in there, and they could see you and come direct boom if you. And so these two guys went up there, and they come back in a few minutes, and they says, "Oh, there ain't nothing but a little fire up there. The sailors is putting it out." Well, they saw the sailors getting the hose pipes and getting them ready, but the water pumps had been knocked out, and there wasn't a drop of water, no water. And so we thought everything might be all right. We didn't know about that, you know. And so after a little bit, the canvas curtains, we saw them afire, and the smoke was coming down in there where we were at. And we got wondering what we was going to do, because we were told to keep all the doors shut between compartments. And
You had to abandon ship. The order to.
yeah,
You had to
the
abandon ship?
communications was knocked out. Wasn't no communication whether they could tell us to abandon ship or not. And so after that, curtains started getting caught a fire, and smoke coming down in there, and some of them pulled some of the curtains back and they seen there was a fire. We said, "We thought y'all was the sailors was putting that fire out." Well, it had got worse, and our ammunition on our trucks that was on deck was going off. High explosives and phosphorus shells. And the phosphorus shells are just smoke and fire everywhere. And so the ship was operated by English sailors. And so one of the,
Mr. Marshall, may I interrupt you for a moment? I'd like to let you know that we have 10 minutes left
well,
remaining in the interview.
all right, yeah, this English sailor, he opened the door to the other compartment, and he come through ours, and he got up there to where that ammunition magazine was at, and there was a hatch. He climbed up this ladder and undone this hatch. He didn't say follow me or nothing like that. And some of the guys had already begun to put on a gas mask. And there was one
Did you
guy.
put on a gas mask?
Huh?
Did you put on a gas mask?
No, I didn't put mine on, but there was a guy on this side. He over there, and he started up the ladder, and there was fire just going all over. And when they went up, they said, "We can't get out this way." Says there's fire going everywhere.
Did you
Well,
escape?
another guy, he tried it. He come back down. And this guy, other guy, he was closer to it. He tried it again. No way. Well, this other guy had tried it before. He went up again. He come back down. This one I remember. We call him Slim Wilson. I don't remember his first name right now, but we call him Slim. And he come back down. Well, I says, I'm gonna try it. So when I got to the top of that hatch, the wind had changed, and that deck was just clear. And I got out. I went on out. I had made up my mind before, if I was going to try to make it, if I caught a fire, I could jump in the water and put it out. But when I got out and I turned around, I said, "Men, come on. Get out of here. Get out of there. Get out of there." I said, "There ain't no fire up here." And I took off to the deck, to the edge of the bow of the ship. And when I got to the bow of the ship, I looked around and I didn't see anybody coming. Well, I run back, begged them to come out. I got back to the bow of the deck, nobody. And during the meantime, there was an LCI, Landing Craft Entry, had seen it, and they had come to help. And it was there pretty close to the LST. And the captain, he had a bullhorn, and he says, "Everybody that can swim and has a life preserver," says, "you had better jump." Says, "We'll try to save you." Well, I hit the water. And when I got in the water, the fire was making a bright light everywhere. These sailors, they throwed a life preserver, I imagine about 3 foot in diameter. It had a hole in it. And they had a rope tied to it. And they had thrown it out. When it was close to me and I got to it, I grabbed it, but I couldn't hold it. And one of the sailors hollered out and says, "Get your arm through it." Well, I got my arm through it, and I told some guys next to me, I says, "Get your arm through it, get your arm through it." They couldn't hold it. And there was 3 of us. They pulled us to the side of that LCI and the guardrails.
Do you remember the names of those 3 men? Those other 2
No,
men?
I don't. Anyway, when we got to they got us up to the side of it. They drug us, and when we got to, they pulling us up on deck, and I had got to the top rail. Well, the ship made a lunge, in that heavy water, and I lost my grip on the top rail, but I caught the second one. this sailor, he put his foot on my hand and reached over and got me by my jacket, field jacket, and pulled me aboard. After we got aboard, they told us to pull off our clothes and said, take everything out of your pocket. So we put off our shoes. They said, get everything out of your pocket because you may not see these clothes again. Well, I didn't see mine. All I got off of that ship with was a bag that they gave me to put my pocketbook and whatever. And they told us to put it around our arm and keep it.
Mr. Marshall, I have 4 minutes remaining. Could you tell me, please, about your 2 Purple Hearts and how you came to receive them, as well as your Bronze Star?
Well, one was when I was rescued from the LST. When he got me on board, he stepped on my fingers and got them to bleed, and that's was one. And they gave me a Purple Heart for that because I was wounded getting off of that ship. And the second one was when we made the push to Rome. I had carried a message, a written message, to across about a half mile to an infantry division. And on my way back, I had got back almost to the gun position, and I went down in this creek bed and up on the other side. And when I got up on the other side, the gun position was about 50 feet or more. Well, an explosion. I don't know. I didn't hear it, but it was an explosion. The next thing I knew, I was laying on the ground with my shoe sole flopping back. And I looked and I saw my shirt was bloody. And I looked at my shirt. I says, oh my Lord, I reckon I'm out of my head. My brains has been knocked out and I don't know it. And I reached out and my hand was bloody. And I got up to the gun position, and they all started watching after me. And then they put me on a jeep and carried me to the field hospital. And the next day I was flown to Naples, and I was there for quite a while, till after Rome, and the company was shipped back to a spot below Naples, and I rejoined the company there.
And your Bronze Star? What is the Bronze Star?
The Bronze Star, I received it, I can't think of it. Does it say on now?
That's okay. I'm sure we have it in this information here.
But
One last question I had for you. Are you still in touch with your friend Meade?
ma'am,
Are you still in communication with your friend Meade, your buddy?
no, I don't
No?
know what. But anyway, it wasn't Anaheim. It was the day President Roosevelt died. That's when I got that Bronze Star Medal for tracing the communication line from gun position to the OP.
Well, we have reached our 60-minute time limit. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for participating in the interview. We will make sure to coordinate all the manuscripts and photos that you have
Yeah.
given us and include that
'cause,
I'm gonna stop the tape now. Thank you.
all right.